There are 5 principles to be more like Adonis. Principle number 1, and most important, is discipline. Discipline is the skill of doing the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. We can forget about the other principles. There's no point. We can forget about the entire piece of advice that you've heard from the main channel, from everywhere else. If you don't have discipline, there's no point. If you have a low level in the discipline skill, you have to live life like a normal man who is only pushed towards the things that he is motivated for, the things that he feels like doing. That wouldn't be too bad 200 years ago, 500 years ago. But in the modern day, the things that we feel like doing, the cravings that we get, the physical cravings that we get, the thoughts that we get, the things that we feel like doing have been hooked by scientists and nutritionists. So we can't rely on our feelings anymore. Discipline is about overcoming your feelings and doing the right thing, knowing that it's that piece of work that we have to do, whether or not we feel like it, knowing that we're going to eat clean, whether or not we get physical sensations of cravings. Discipline builds up your mental and your physical strength, which is absolutely crucial to becoming a man. We as men are judged on our strength. Physical strength is a lot less important in the modern world. Mental strength is now what's valued. But that being said, the people with the highest mental strength are nerds. They have some respect and we look up to them because, you know, they're successful software developers. And it's Steve Jobs and it's Bill Gates. But we wouldn't want that man to lead us through a time of emergency. In times of emergency, which do still happen, we live sheltered lives, but emergencies do still happen. We look up to that leader. We look up to that guy who looks physically strong, to that fireman who's the person who's wearing a uniform that symbolizes power. 90% of CEOs are over 6 foot. I believe every single US president is over 6 foot. Why? Because size symbolizes power and competence. We can't really change our height, but we can change the size of our bodies. We can appear bigger. The gym is absolutely crucial. No matter what workout you do, but it is crucial to build the body of that of a man. Not only will you get the respect from other men and you'll get the attraction from women, but you'll also build up that mental strength that it takes to be consistent in something that actually is tough. The second principle to become more like Adonis is humility. Humility is having a student mindset. It's understanding that you don't really know that much. It's knowing what you don't know. It's knowing that you don't know a lot of things. It seems kind of obvious, but the majority of people, probably including you, don't have that much humility, because it almost seems like a negative word that we don't want to admit. Humility sounds like humiliated. We don't want to be humiliated. But humility is a beautiful thing. Humility is the killer of pride and ego. Pride and ego blind us of our weak spots. It is fantastic to acknowledge and to celebrate our victories, to feel grateful for our victories. Too many men get the ball rolling, they start seeing some progress, and now they're blinded. And I've been in that position before, especially in the gym. 1-2 years into lifting, and I think I'm massive, and I start working so hard. Humility constantly reminds you that you aren't that great just yet, and that's important. It keeps you striving for more, understanding that yes, we are the student and there's people, hundreds of people, thousands of people who know more than us, so we can put on the student cap and learn from them. Humility is absolutely vital in self-improvement, but in general for our growth. We picture Adonis as the ultimate man, but he still has to have humility. He has to be humble at that point. Otherwise, he'll be arrogant. He'll be egotistical. We don't want a leader like that, because a leader who is arrogant, a leader who is egotistical, is blind to what we, the people, need him to see. You must have humility. And this is a hard skill to cultivate. This is a very, very hard skill because it hurts. Every time that you induce humility, it hurts. It suddenly puts you in an anxious feeling where you realize, wait, I'm not as high up as I originally thought I was. But that's a feeling. And the first principle we just discussed was discipline. We have to ignore those whimsical feelings. Most men have to stop here. Most men don't have any level of humbleness and humility. They can't admit it, because this takes confidence, even though it's somewhat like admitting your weaknesses, and it almost feels like a bad thing. Think about the level of confidence it takes to hold your hand up and say, I don't know that. I don't know what that means. That's a powerful statement. I don't know. Because the average man will nod his head and pretend that he knows, because he can't risk being outed in the social status. He doesn't want to be risked by other people thinking that he doesn't know something. Humility causes you to constantly ask questions and to stay curious and to stay learning. That's how you continuously grow. The third principle of being more like Adonis is presence. And presence is a very, very beautiful thing. Presence is priceless. Presence is like mindfulness. It's built through meditation. Presence is your ability to bring back a wandering mind. This is incredibly important for all aspects of life. Tim Ferriss is an author, a very successful author and entrepreneur, and he said that mindfulness, which is the same as presence, is a meta skill that improves 100% of the rest of your life. Anything that you think of will be benefited by presence. There's not many things like that. Presence is your ability to speak to your loved ones without your mind just wandering and thinking about some bullshit. It's your ability to stay focused on your work instead of worrying about the past or the future. Presence destroys anxiety and depression. It makes you better in everything you do, especially in relationships. And relationships are one of the most important parts of life. When you speak to someone who has a good level of presence, you'll know, because you feel so connected to them, that the amount of eye contact that they're giving you, you don't want those type of conversations to end. And when you improve your presence, other people are thinking the same thing about you. Long-term meditation. Meditate every day at the same time for the rest of your life. Whether it's 30 seconds, it's 1 minute, it's 10 minutes, it's an hour. Get into that consistent practice. For me personally, I wake up, I do my morning routine, and I meditate. Wake up, meditate. Wake up, meditate. Wake up, meditate. It's a fundamental part to being alive. The issue is that most of the habits that we do in the modern day sap our presence. It's one of the most important skills, and we actively do things that reduce it in our lives. Social media, video games, Netflix, YouTube. I can guarantee that the young men who watch my main channel, solely my main channel, and not this one because it's unedited and it's long form, have a very reduced level of presence compared to you. Humans have less of an attention span than ever. It's that ability to stay focused and relentless. All of the guys at the top of any industry, athletes, musicians, businessmen, they have huge levels of presence. Presence allows you to get into a flow state, and a flow state is where we are truly happy and fulfilled. It's where you have no thoughts and you are just so utterly focused on the task at hand. It's what athletes call being in the zone, and you want to experience that every single day for the rest of your life if possible. That would be a good life. Most people experience being in the zone or being in a flow state once in a blue moon, and they're so depressed in the intervals between the flow states. The more you meditate, the more present you become. The fourth principle of being more like Adonis is gratitude. Gratitude is kind of like the scientific version of happiness. I recently made a video on this channel where I ranted about gratitude instead of happiness, because happiness is too whimsical, it's too wishy-washy. None of us even understand what happiness truly is. Every single one of us has a different subjective opinion of what makes us happy. Gratitude is something that is completely objective. It's just looking at something in a positive view, even especially negative things, bad things. I was abused as a child. I was traumatized. I was beaten, I was screamed at, I was threatened. I was made to feel unsafe most days of my entire childhood and my teenage years. And I'm grateful for all of that. I'm grateful for experiencing child abuse. Why? Because I wouldn't be here if I didn't experience that. I wouldn't be the guy that you're watching on screen. I wouldn't be the same person. I would be yet another consumer. I'm grateful for all of the suffering that I went through, and I'm pretty sure you would be too, as long as you grew afterwards, because suffering causes growth. As long as you view it in a positive way. It's like that concept of breakup gains. After you break up with a girl, she breaks up with you, and you make the best gains of your life because you're so focused in the gym. Suffering causes growth only if you are grateful. And a lot of people aren't grateful. A lot of people don't count their blessings. It's in every religion to be grateful. Every single religion, every single one preaches gratitude. The happiest people are the most grateful. And we're surrounded by a plague of people who have never even thought of being grateful anymore. We're surrounded by a group of people who are ungrateful for what they have in life because it's not enough, because they're stuck in that pursuit, that materialistic, capitalistic pursuit of more. So they're not grateful. They're constantly striving for more. And so they're unhappy, they're unfulfilled. You have to be grateful of where you are right now if you wish to move up, because making progress in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of quick and it's kind of powerful, but day to day, you need patience. And it's the person who is impatient, who is ungrateful for where he is at right now, that actually doesn't change. But that should blow your mind. It's the person who's actually grateful. It's the person who's actually patient. They're the people who significantly change their lives. The fat guy who's impatient, what does he do? He goes on stupid diets. He does stupid training with his personal trainer. He does those like HIIT workouts, and then he never loses the weight because he wanted to lose 17 pounds in 2 days. But the guy who's patient and he wants to lose a pound a week, he loses it. He doesn't have the big motivational quote that, I'm going to the gym 7 hours a day and I'm eating 3 calories a day, but he loses the weight. You have to be grateful for where you are right now, even if you're not at the end goal, especially if you're not at that end goal. I don't even think there is an end goal. And the fifth principle of being more like Adonis is leadership. If you've cultivated the 4 principles so far, the 4 values, discipline, I had to look down at my list then. Discipline, humility, presence, gratitude. Now it's time to teach it to other people. You have to take the responsibility of others to further your own growth, but also that of your community. If this sounds like wishy-washy and you're thinking, wait, responsibility for other people, I don't care about other people, you're not at that level. So at that point, this is no offense to you, focus on yourself, focus on your own discipline, your own humility, your own growth, presence, gratitude. But there will be a time when you feel almost sedimentary with these other principles and with a lot of self-improvements, that's your call to action to start becoming a leader and to get more men onto this. Get more men to be like Adonis. Because this is bigger than me. This is bigger than YouTube. We're reshaping the future of manhood. I can't do it by myself. I can get you onto the same protocol as me, but you need to get your friends onto it. And this isn't me. This isn't some clever bullshit marketing tactic like, oh, yeah, share the video to, this isn't that shit. Don't show them my videos. You don't need to. Teach them what you've learned and show by example. We need more men to become like Adonis. You need more brothers to speak to. Because this is a lonely fucking life if you're doing this all by yourself. And a lot of us are starting to realize that the hard times are coming. We need strong men for that time. Not only for the sake of survival. The motivating thing is that the strong men are rewarded. The best warrior is rewarded. The man who intelligently comes up with the right idea is rewarded. The strong men are always rewarded. The weak men of today will sink deeper and deeper into the virtual reality. But the men who become stronger and become leaders in their own communities, in their own households, will be rewarded. I made a short video on this channel just a couple of videos ago, and I asked you that, am I doing a good job? And what is the direction that we should take this influence? The video is titled, I'm literally influencing millions of men. We have a very, very interesting opportunity here. We're quite significantly changing the lives of a lot of men. Which direction do we want them to go into? And I think the only one answer that we can truly all agree is make men more like Adonis. And it's kind of obvious. These are the 5 principles to make a man more like Adonis. Discipline, humility, presence, gratitude, and leadership. If you feel like I've missed anything out, and if you feel like there's a crucial value or characteristic of Adonis, comment below or get in touch with me. I think this is more important than we realize. I mentioned previously that the darkest times of our lives are coming, that the sexual marketplace is so imbalanced that people don't realize that is quite literally a catastrophic event waiting to happen. This is a 10 out of 10 problem that is invisible to most people. We experience it and we feel it, but we don't, it's kind of awkward to talk about this, sex and dating. It's the biggest problem of our time, and we need to rebalance it somehow. I think one of the goals that we can strive toward is fatherhood. Even if you don't want to be a father, cultivating the right characteristics of fatherhood, of the ultimate man who looks after his people, who's so capable and so responsible that he's already filled his cup tenfold. I'll make a separate video about what I'm about to say, but it's so clear to me now that to fix men, it starts with men. Women have become more and more masculine because men have gotten weaker and more feminine. If we all became more masculine, women would automatically become more feminine. Because what happens to a woman when she's around a masculine guy that she respects? What happens to a woman when she's around the Chad? She ultimately becomes feminine. And once we do have that masculine and feminine polarity, the beautiful relationships start again, and people actually want to stay together. And when people stay together, they raise their children in a 2-parent household. Those children grow up nice and healthy. Not to mention that we're also practicing mental health. So those children who now grow up in a 2-parent household that hasn't split up, that hasn't been divorced, are actually being raised in a mentally healthy, present, grateful, loving relationship or family. I think that's a beautiful aim for us to work towards. Let me know if you have any ideas for this. Just ruined the fucking speech. I just fucking I do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.